Hi everyone, I'm Coral. Welcome back to my channel. I'm here today with a video about 6 books that are super bingeable. These are books that once you start them, you cannot put them down. Books that are just chef's kiss. So fast-paced, so interesting, keep you up all night reading them. And these are books where, you know, if you're in a reading slump or if you need something that's just really quick and easy to read, look at these books. Take a look at them. Pick one up and try it out for yourself. These are books that I think are just, so readable, so bingeable. So first here is The Loop by Jeremy Robert Johnson. This is about a group of teenagers and something really terrible and strange is happening in their small little town. It starts out with some students at the school becoming violent and it slowly spreads to the entire town. The main character, Lucy, has a really interesting family dynamic, but for most of the book she's actually with her friends and they create sort of a found family because of the experiences, the shared experiences that they've had growing up being people of minorities in a mostly white city. But that's not the main focus of this. The main focus is this weird sci-fi horror that's happening, and these kids need to make some tough decisions. And it's just like, once this book gets going, it just does not stop. And it is action-packed and fast-paced and very heartfelt. I especially loved the audio version of this. The narrator just did such a fucking fantastic job. And oh boy. Next, Razorblade Tears by S.A. Cosby. This is this was one of my favorite books of 2020. It was just another really heartfelt, emotional book about 2 dads who team up. They're kind of an unlikely duo, a duo that wouldn't be together if not for the circumstances that they're in, because their sons were partners and their sons were murdered in public, and the police think that it was maybe just a robbery or something like that, but the dads suspect it's something more sinister than that. And because both of these dads have spent time in prison, they have kind of a skill set that some civilians would not, and they team up together to find out who murdered their sons. And it's another one. It just starts and it does not stop. It is like, oh my gosh, it's just like driving 90 miles through a mountain road. It's twisty and turny, and man, I can't say this book didn't like make me cry a little bit. It was so good. So good. Next on my list is Things Have Gotten Worse Since We Last Spoke by LaRocca, and this is about 2 women who get into a relationship over the internet, and it becomes a really terrible relationship. And this is another one. And because of its length, it doesn't have wiggle room to meander, you know what I mean? So it just gets right to the point. And this was a book that it was like I read it and I needed to finish it that very day. It was just great. It was quick. It was so readable. Another one that's just perfect for if you're in a reading slump or you don't know what to pick up or you just need something to occupy a couple hours. It's just great. Next on my list is Blackbirds by Wendig. This is because I recently read the 4th book in this series, and it's just, all of these books are so fast-paced and interesting. You just can't put them down. They're real page turners. I've talked about this series a lot lately, but the main character in this, her name's Miriam Black, and after a really tragic event, she gains this power to see people's death when she touches them, and this just causes a lot of issues in her life, and she's kind of gone down a kind of hard, rocky path because of it. And there are lots of ups and downs in this series, but all of them are just really so readable, unputdownable. It's so, I don't know, I just don't think I've read a series with this consistent quality and fast-pacedness, you know, like each book in the series gets better and better. And you know, you do have to start here though with Blackbirds, which is a good book, but boy, they do sure get better as they go along. You should pick up the series. This next one here, you might think, this is nonfiction. Why is this on this list? Nonfiction tends to be a little more dry, right? Yes, you're right. But this book, I could not stop reading this. I had to like change my plans for the day so that I could finish reading this. It was such a crazy experience. This is Into Thin Air by Jon Krakauer, and this is about Jon Krakauer's experience with the 1996 Everest disaster, where there were multiple teams up trying to summit at the same day because you have a very small window to get to the summit of Mount Everest. And there were a couple different teams. Some of them had more experienced leaders than others. The guides had done this more times, and some of the guides had not done it at all. So when things start to go wrong and there is a storm, yeah, things just really go terribly wrong, and there are people who lose their lives in this story. But the way that Jon Krakauer tells a story, and I really feel this with all of the books that I've read of his. I've read 3 books now, that for me at least, they're just impossible to take a break from. You just need to know what's going to happen. And this one especially, because there's like this foreshadowing and this build up, and it's like you go in knowing that this happens, but oh my God, I just had to read it. And then afterwards, it's like, how did these people cope with this? And this is just such a well-written, heartbreaking, inspiring story. And this was a very bingeable book, especially for a nonfiction. All right, and my last pick for this is Her Pretty Face by Robyn Harding. Ew, I gotta get this sticker goop off. This is a thriller. And I can't say that I was super like surprised by the twist, but the experience of reading this book was really fun. It was one that, you know, like these others, this is why it's included in this video, it was just really hard to put down. We're following a woman named Frances, and her son has some special needs, and so she's very excited when he is able to attend this school that will help his needs, but he's still got some issues he's got to work on, and he doesn't have very many friends, and she also doesn't quite fit in with the other families that attend this school, the other children's families, and so she's very relieved when she meets a woman named Kate, who is more down to earth and just less concerned about how things look to society, you know, like if your child behaves badly, that child's just a child, you know what I mean? Frances is really appreciative of this friendship that she struck up with Kate, but little does she know, Kate has a sordid secret, and of course we get to the bottom of it, and you know, it wasn't super thrilling. But I really, like, I enjoyed the experience of reading this book, and even though I wasn't very surprised by what happened, it was still like, okay, you know, and I liked the book either way, you know what I mean? So I think that says something about the author's writing and stuff like that, but this was another one that I couldn't put it down. It was so hard to take a break from this book. Well, those are 6 books that are perfectly bingeable. Like I said, if you're having a slump, you know, sometimes you go really hard in January and you start to slow down in February. So if you're in a slump, if you're having one of those periods of time where no book can hold your attention, if you're looking for something that's just really quick and readable, something that doesn't take a lot of processing, you know what I mean? These would be perfect for that. I'd love to know also if you guys have any recommendations for books that you just like could not put down, books that were unputdownable. I'd love to hear. That's all I have for you today though. Thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you later. Goodbye.